I'm a big fan of yours. Blue Velvet.
If you only have 30 seconds, take this. She let David Lynch turn her glamour into something vicious. Old Hollywood finesse with new Hollywood transgression. And her face held both. She was born with Ingrid Bergman's classical beauty, but she wasn't afraid to shatter that porcelain image right on screen. She sang in nothing but blue velvet and bruises. She dared audiences and directors to resist her international atrocity. In short, she turned her own oddity into a kind of cinematic secret sauce, a beauty blueprint for mystery and desire, all wrapped in blue, velvet and eyeshadow alike. But if you'd like a bit more of an explanation, follow me.
Welcome. I'm Kira, and this is your beauty blueprint.
Picture Isabella's persona as a cocktail. One part European royalty. Her mother was Casablanca legend Ingrid Bergman, her father Italian neorealist Roberto Rossellini. One part provocative courage. Add a dash of blue velvet and eyeshadow, stir in the devotion of the world's most acclaimed visionary directors, and top it off with a sense of humor coming through red rouge. She grew up literally on movie sets, yet she spent years avoiding acting for fear of being compared to her famous mom. How ironic is it that the comparison unavoidably came out of her true love's mouth during their very first exchange? At first, young Isabella tried out a normal life, studying, working as a translator and journalist, until fate and genetics called. At 28, far older than most newcomers, she just dipped her toes and instantly rocketed to unfathomable success. With a symmetrical face and a continental purr of a voice, she then became the exclusive face of Lancôme for 14 years. Her image was plastered on billboards as the ideal of 80s chic. She even dabbled in Hollywood royalty off camera. A young love marriage to director Martin Scorsese in the 70s, he was fresh off Taxi Driver, and another to Harvard grad-turned-model John Wiedemann in the 80s. By her early 30s, Isabella Rossellini was a jet-setting beauty icon, but she hungered for something more challenging than smiling in lipstick ads. But this is just a little taste. Let's look into what made her the man-eater that she was, and then of course dissect her beauty secrets at the end. I've been meaning to do this research for a long time, and to share it with you is exciting to say the least. Cherry on top, as they say. Oh, by the way, just for this very special occasion, I designed an Isabella Rossellini blue velvet t-shirt. The link's on screen now. So settle in, pour yourself something sophisticated with a bitter edge, much like Isabella herself, and perhaps make it on the rocks too, and let's start at the beginning, shall we? Isabella Fiorella Elettra Giovanna Rossellini was born in Rome in 1952, one half of fraternal twins. Her lineage was pure cinematic aristocracy. Ingrid Bergman, the perfect Swedish star, and Roberto Rossellini, the Italian auteur who scandalized Hollywood by romancing Bergman. Isabella's childhood was split between Rome and Paris, steeped in cinema yet shadowed by tabloid infamy. Her parents' affair was big news in the 50s.
Father once came up at the hotel where we were living during their divorce with a kangaroo. We were 7 altogether, and we always had friends and cousins, and we were really a very large group of children, and sometimes it got very rough.
At 13, she endured an early brush with imperfection, a painful spinal surgery for scoliosis. By her 20s, the shy girl who once feared she could never be as good as her mom finally found her footing. In 1982, Isabella's modeling career took off like a nuclear rocket. She had an authentically cool aura that made her a natural. Photographers like Richard Avedon encouraged her. She was already acting rather than just posing in their shoots. "All you need to do is add a voice," he said. She sure stood out from the leggy California blondes of the era. By her early 30s, she was reportedly the highest paid model in the world. Yet Isabella remained, as Vogue put it, too international, a cosmopolitan enigma. This made her both alluring and a little unknowable to the public. Little did anyone suspect that this refined beauty was about to submerge into one of the most twisted film roles of the decade. How did a couture and society darling end up nude and gasping for air on a suburban lawn in one of the most controversial scenes of the 80s? To find out, we have to enter the strange world of David Lynch, and the moment he first laid eyes on our Isabella. The meet-cute itself is a cinematic legend. In 1985, Lynch was casting Blue Velvet, his darkly surreal mystery set in small-town America. During lunch at a restaurant in New York, he noticed a woman with an uncanny resemblance to Ingrid Bergman.
We met at a dinner party for a friend in New York, and the first thing David said to me was, "You know, you look like you could be Ingrid Bergman's daughter." Which caused one of our friends to say, "You idiots, she is Ingrid Bergman's daughter."
Embarrassed or not, Lynch was intrigued. He'd been searching for an actress to play Dorothy Vallens, a role so extreme that even the formidable Helen Mirren had turned it down as too controversial. Rossellini, for her part, had read the script and liked it. Its perversity didn't scare her. She later said she understood why Mirren balked, but Isabella herself was drawn to the part. Still, she was a novice actress. Unsure, she called up her ex, Scorsese, for advice. Marty's response was essentially, "Do it. Have you seen Eraserhead? Lynch is a genius." Encouraged, Isabella took the leap. That film would change both her career and her life. On set in North Carolina, Lynch and Rossellini developed an intense creative bond. She later joked that she tends to idolize great directors and is overawed by their presence. And here she was, involved with one of the most visionary directors around. The two became lovers during filming, and made for an unlikely power couple. One famous Helmut Newton photograph from the set shows Isabella and David passionately locked in, evidence that Blue Velvet's on-screen erotic charge was no accident. Discussions with Lynch about how and why Dorothy must debase herself in the role must have served as a sort of two-way aphrodisiac, one commentator wryly noted. In other words, creating Dorothy's dark persona was foreplay for this pair. So who is Dorothy Vallens? In the film, she's a smoky-voiced nightclub singer in a small logging town, a woman forced into a twisted sexual arrangement to save her child. But Lynch deliberately crafted Dorothy, with Rossellini's input, as more than a damsel in distress. She's also a subverted femme fatale, the archetype of the alluring lady in trouble turned on its head. With her perfectly coiffed bouffant wig, heavy sapphire blue eyelids and rouged lips draped in slinky gowns, Dorothy is an instantly recognizable siren. It's as if a 40s film noir diva appeared in Ronald Reagan's America. On stage at the Slow Club, lit in neon, she croons the song Blue Velvet with an unearthly detachment, like a ghost of Hollywood past. Lynch loved the look that Isabella and makeup artist Jeff Goodwin tried. He told Goodwin, "You nailed it" on the first test. But Dorothy's glamour is only the facade. Lynch and Rossellini quickly distort the archetype. Dorothy removes her wig, a symbolic stripping of the tough dame mask, to reveal a vulnerably short-haired, broken woman. Beneath the satin fabric and glossy makeup lies what Rossellini herself called a bleak and tortured soul. What really sets Dorothy apart is her disturbing masochistic streak. It entangles her with the film's psychopath, Frank Booth. Frank, played with hellish intensity by Dennis Hopper, beats and terrorizes Dorothy, and shockingly, she seems to need it. It's a chilling image, pleasure and pain indistinguishable. Later, when the naive protagonist Jeffrey becomes Dorothy's lover, she begs him to hit her during sex,
I want you to hurt me.
prompting in him and the audience a mix of arousal and horror. Rossellini's fearless performance made Blue Velvet both praised and infamous. Critics were polarized. Some hailed the film as a masterpiece of surrealism. Others, notably Roger Ebert, accused Lynch of exploiting Isabella, of subjecting her to degradation, humiliation, undressing her in front of the camera. Ebert's condemnation sparked a wider debate. Was Dorothy a misogynistic caricature or a revolutionary portrayal of female trauma and desire? Rossellini herself firmly refuted the idea that she'd been victimized. "I was an adult. I was 32. I chose to play the character," she later said. In fact, she took an active hand in shaping Dorothy's psychology. Before filming the most intense scenes, she insisted Lynch rehearse them with her for a full day. "You don't have to say the lines, but let's paraphrase," she told him. Lynch agreed. The result is that Dorothy comes across not as a mere victim, but as a complex woman making disturbing choices. She continually wriggles in and out of easy female victimhood, blurring the line between suffering and satisfaction. As one analysis noted, to view Dorothy as a pure damsel in distress is to ignore how often she purposely exercises and relinquishes agency, and refuses shame, even as the viewer recoils at her masochistic desires. Rossellini's performance confronts us with female sexual power in its most pungent, unsettling form. It's no wonder David Lynch fell in love. He found a muse, the beautiful saint and the damned sinner, all in one. Rossellini's Dorothy is the ultimate Madonna horror complex come to life. She occupies some weird middle ground. She's a mother, desperate to protect her son, and a fetish object. This persona tapped into something primal. Audiences in 1986 had frankly never seen a former cover girl deglamorized and sexualized quite like this. It was scandalous yet mesmerizing. 1 minute, Dorothy is singing a Dreamy Torch song. The next, she's naked, sobbing on a suburban lawn, clinging to a bewildered young man. Rossellini herself later said, "We didn't expect the polemic Blue Velvet cost, nor its success." Blue Velvet is now considered one of Lynch's greatest works, and that's largely due to Rossellini's performance. After Blue Velvet's release, Isabella found herself as a new kind of sex symbol. Not the glossy pin-up, but the dark kind. Lynch and Rossellini continued their romance, navigating a long-distance relationship. She was still modeling globally. He was launching Twin Peaks. They would talk for hours on the phone and meet whenever their schedules allowed. In 1990, Lynch cast her in Wild at Heart, his next wild outing. This time, Rossellini played Perdita Durango, a radically different new creature. Wild at Heart is a hyper-stylized road movie, a twisted fairy tale riff on The Wizard of Oz, with lovers on the run through an all-American nightmare. By the way, I made a video on it. Here's the link. Rossellini appears dangerous. Criminal and assassin, essentially a depraved accomplice to gangsters. Always game for transformation, Isabella approached Perdita with gusto. Drawing inspiration from the artist Frida Kahlo, Rossellini herself emphasized Perdita's eyebrows, growing them thick and untamed to convey a hint of madness behind the beauty. Lynch then added his wild touch, a blonde wig. If Dorothy was the blue velvet chanteuse, Perdita was the bottle-blonde outlaw. She looks like a comic book femme fatale come to life. She's only on screen briefly, but she makes an impression, at one point casually plotting a hit job in Spanish, cigarette dangling from her lips, eyes glinting with malice. Rossellini turned herself into a perfect misfit for Lynch. It's as if she were saying, "You thought I was only Dorothy, capable of tragic eroticism? Well, I can do twisted camp villainy, too." You might be wondering, what was the personal cost of being a director's muse in such a bizarre playground? Isabella and David seemed like a match made in art heaven. But could this dark fairy tale even have a happy ending? Keep watching, because their story takes a turn, and before long, we'll reveal how you can steal a page from Isabella's beauty blueprint, the blue velvet look no less. Alas, their passionate collaboration didn't translate into lasting love. The romance ended. When Wild at Heart won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, the couple walked the red carpet seemingly as inseparable as ever. But behind closed doors, cracks formed. Lynch's quirks, his obsessive routines, and aversion to domestic normalcy, he forbade cooking smells in the house. The smell would get all over my work, he insisted, wore on Isabella. More seriously, Lynch was growing distant, consumed by his work. That night in Cannes, after the applause faded, he told her he didn't think the relationship was working. "When David left, I was totally broken-hearted," she admitted. It took a long therapy for her to heal from the heartbreak. David was the love of my life, and I thought he loved me just as much, but apparently that was a mistake. All my instincts told me that we were a happy couple, but he loved another woman, and I had no idea. This had never happened to me before, she confessed. The timeline points to that other woman being editor-producer Mary Sweeney. Lynch and Rossellini split around 1990 to 91, and he and Sweeney had a son in 1992. As for the old rumor that they broke up over kitchen smells, Lynch himself called that a myth in a 2007 Guardian interview. Heartbroken or not, Rossellini did what any self-respecting cinema icon would do. She carried on and kept reinventing herself. The early 90s brought her new roles. Memorably, she played the immortal, gothic seductress Lissel von Rumen in Death Becomes Her. Dripping jewels and attitude, she proved again she could be wickedly funny and sexy at once. So, what made Isabella Rossellini so attractive? Almost unbelievably attractive, to so many, from visionary directors to everyday admirers. It goes far beyond the symmetry of her face or the accident of famous parentage. Isabella seemed to personify an archetype that men, especially artistic, intelligent men, found irresistible. The woman who was at once classically ladylike and courageously dangerous. She had the cultivated grace of old cinema, fluent in multiple languages, comfortable at glamorous soirees, and a wild streak, a willingness to get past the taboo. In Jungian terms, she could be seen as the anima figure for Lynch and others, the inner feminine ideal with a dark, unconscious twist. She gave form to men's most extreme fantasies. As Dorothy Vallens, she was the incarnation of a male hero's erotic nightmare and dream combined. She scrambles Jeffrey's moral compass and his libido in equal measure. Off-screen, for Lynch, Isabella was a living bridge between nostalgia and the avant-garde. Imagine the allure for a filmmaker obsessed with 50s Americana and film noir. Here was a woman who literally inherited the golden age, yet was open to the most challengingly strange of new ideas. As Isabella put it, "The men in my life are visionaries, a bit like my father. I feel extremely inspired by them, overawed by their presence, and they by hers, because she offered them a familiarity. With her they could discuss Italian neorealism or Hollywood history as equals, and also an exotic thrill. She was European, independent, not a meek ingenue." It helps that Isabella is exceedingly smart and self-possessed. Men and women are attracted not just to her looks, but to the ambience around her. The sense that she's seen a lot of life, the glamour, the pain, the abstract absurdity, and can still smile mischievously about it. Now, let's move into the beauty blueprint that made Isabella's blue velvet look so iconic, and how we can channel a bit of that magic today. Rossellini is all about contrast. Classical features paired with theatrical makeup. Makeup was crucial to building Dorothy's persona. According to Jeff Goodwin, Blue Velvet's makeup designer, Lynch gave him carte blanche, and Goodwin decided to go full throttle. The script explicitly described Dorothy's red lips, so Goodwin made those a focal point. For contrast, he chose a real primary lapis lazuli blue that tied in with the film's title and Dorothy's signature robe. This shade of electric blue was unusual. Goodwin noted it's a color you never really see on eyes. In fact, to achieve the exact hue, Goodwin custom mixed pigments, 2 Lancôme eyeshadows and 1 from La Femme. Similarly, the lip color was a bespoke mix. He layered 2 different lipsticks, one of them a Bob Kelly Fire Engine Red, the deepest, truest red he could find in 1985. The result is stunning. It's drawing our gaze in and symbolizing sensuality and danger in equal parts. Another secret to the blue velvet aesthetic was its mix of time periods. Goodwin and Lynch deliberately mixed 50s, 60s, and 80s references. Dorothy's wardrobe might be vintage 50s femme fatale, but her makeup has the saturated hues of the 80s, and her environment mixes Eisenhower-era decor with neon modernity. This collage of styles gives the film a timeless feel. You can't pin Blue Velvet down to any one year, which makes it still look fresh today. Unlike, say, the permed hair and frosted lips that date many other 80s films. So, how do we recreate Isabella's famous blue velvet beauty look with today's products? Here's a practical breakdown. The eyes are the showstopper. Go for that deep cobalt blue smoky eye. A makeup writer celebrating Rossellini's look suggested Stila's smudge stick in cobalt. Goodwin had to mix multiple shades to get it just right, but today brands carry perfect blues readily. Line your upper lash line with black for definition. and pile on black mascara. The goal is sultry and a bit imperfect. Dorothy's shadow often looks like it's been sweated in during a long night of singing and crying, which only adds to the mystique. In Blue Velvet, Isabella's brows were natural, moderately full and well-defined, a classic look that frames the intense eye makeup. Fill in your brows softly, but keep their shapes somewhat sharp. Think more 50s starlet than 80s bushy. Interestingly, Dorothy's face wasn't heavily contoured, but a flush of plum-toned blush high on the cheeks would add to retro glamour. Blend well. You want a suggestion of rosy plum, not an obvious clown rouge. Alright, time to bring out your inner nightclub chanteuse. Dorothy's lips are a lush, glossy red. Not a thin matte, but a voluptuous, almost wet red. To get this, line your lips with a red pencil for shape. Then choose a classic blue-based red lipstick. Blue-based meaning it's a true red that isn't orange, which complements the cool-toned eye makeup. For example, there's Revlon's Red. Add a touch of clear or matching red gloss to the center of your lips to mimic 80s high shine finish. The glossy effect makes lips look even more inviting. Dorothy's wig is the short, 50s-inspired bouffant. It's a deep brown, almost black, styled with a swooping wave in front and some volume on top. Think a demure, mid-century nightclub singer, too. If your hair is longer, you can fake a bob by tucking and pinning the lengths under at the nape of your neck. Suddenly, shoulder-length hair looks chin-length and vintage. Don't worry about it looking too perfect. A bit of softness makes it look more natural. Slip into a slinky black dress or robe and voila, you have a bit of Dorothy of your own making. Maybe you're not about to serenade a psychopath in a seedy lounge, let's hope not, but channeling that old-school sensuality for a night out could make you feel unusually confident and mysterious. Isabella's collaboration with Lynch produced an enduring archetype, the beautiful woman with a cracked psyche. She showed that a great beauty could also be a great actress, as long as she is willing to look ugly or weird or vulnerable for the art. That blueprint is as relevant now as it was the moment she stepped on that Lynchian stage. Oh, one last quick note, or news, rather. I have just launched YouTube memberships, which means you can now access members-only secret podcasts that will go live every week. Same format as my usual videos, but with a touch more spice. The ones you like most could even be made into full video episodes in the future. And naturally, we will have the usual YouTube perks, like member badges and special stickers. Only these are designed by me and therefore actually look great. Judge for yourself.